Hi everyone, Teddy Baldassarre with TeddyBaldassarre.com, and in this video we're looking at a fantastic dive watch under $1,000 with the Squale 1545. So if you're new to this channel, this is where we cover watches available for purchase on our website, TeddyBaldassarre.com, as an authorized dealer. So in this video, deep dive on this timepiece, final points of consideration at the end, but also throughout the video, if you have further questions or looking to buy this watch, we'll have a link in the description down below to the product page. Without further ado, let's jump into the video, take a closer look at this watch. The lore surrounding the world of dive watches is unlike anything else you will come across in watchmaking. The balance of heritage and purpose-built execution has led to many brands arising as symbols of this pocket of the hobby. Chances are you're familiar with the heavy hitters of the dive watch world. I'm talking about Rolex, Omega, Seiko, Blancpain, Doxa, and others. But there's other brands out there that also hold an esteemed place in the history of diving that you may not have heard of, at least as much. And a brand that definitely qualifies for that is Squale. Founded in Neuchâtel, Switzerland in 1950, the Von Buren SA watch factory was established by owners Charles and Helene Von Buren, who then launched Squale in 1959 with a focus on water-resistant timepieces. Squale, Italian for shark, secured their first dive watch case patent that same year. Diving was in its infancy at this time, and Squale quickly became an essential part of its history. Starting in 1960, they supplied watch cases for several brands, including Doxa, Heuer, and most notably Blancpain for their iconic 50 Fathoms, with some versions identified by the Squale shark logo on the dial itself. But Squale also had great success under its own banner. Squale's dive watches were not pieces you would find lining the shelves of jewelry stores. Instead, they were serious diving tools sold in dive shops next to fins, masts, and snorkels. After their heyday in the 60s and 70s, Charles Von Buren retired in 1982, selling the brand to his Italian distributor, the Maggi family. Squale's 1545 case brings a lot to the table that I think a lot of people will like. You have that aforementioned 40 millimeters of diameter, a case height of 12 millimeters, and a lug-to-lug of 47.5 millimeters with my calipers. I do see some people quoting it at 48 millimeters. I came out at 47.5. This classic dive watch dimensions are suited for a wide variety of wrists, wearing like a vintage Rolex Submariner case or a Tudor Black Bay 58 for modern reference. Finishing is predominantly brush with a full polish on the case sides and the back of the case. The lugs are fairly broad but proportional to the overall case dimensions, and the ribbed sign screw down crown is unguarded for a vintage look, as well as the solid screw down case back, further identifying the 1545 as an all business tool watch backed up by the 300 meters of water resistance. The bezel is well finished with a polished edge that can be slippery when wet, rotating unidirectionally 120 clicks. The inserts vary depending on the colorway. Specific models such as the slate gray get a ceramic insert, while others utilize a retro steel bezel that features circular brushing and infilled engraving. Now, regardless of your choice, all bezels have a fully demarcated scale with a triangle at 12 and a loomed pip. A flat sapphire crystal features anti-reflective coating on the underside for clear viewing of the dial, for a look that's more contemporary than a dome crystal would be. Strap choices are again dependent on your preferences. You have either a color-matched tropic-style rubber strap or a 3-link bracelet with solid links and end links sitting between the 20 millimeter lug width. The bracelet's finish is vertically brushed with polished sides to match the broader case, and links are secured with screws. The clasp is machined with a flip lock that is signed and offers 4 points of micro adjustment. While it's certainly not the state-of-the-art type of execution, it's perfectly serviceable at the price point and fits the overall retro vibe of the watch. My main qualm with this bracelet is the clasp will rub against the anterior side of the front point of those center links, leaving a mark with wear, something that is very common with bracelet designs like this one. On the inside is a dive extension that can easily be unlocked in case you do want to give this one a go as an aquatic companion to easily throw over a dive suit. Squale has some really distinctive elements at play when it comes to their dials. And before we discuss the colors themselves, we'll look at what makes them stand out in the 1545 family. First, we have to discuss the throwback dial text. You might be asking to yourself, why is this dial signed twice? Now, looking at the text under 12, you'll find the Von Buren crown above the S of the historic slanted text of the word mark, a look that recalls classics throughout Squale's history. But then we see the Squale shark logo above 6, sandwiched by the Y1545 case style designation and the 30 Atmos depth rating signifying 300 meters. So why is Squale repeated within the shark? This logo has historical significance, as it declared the case itself as a product of the brand. And you'll see this very same symbol on a variety of historical divers from many names, such as that earlier reference of vintage Blancpains. It's a sort of calling card and an indication of quality to customers that states this is a Squale case, regardless of the watch brand. It's a fun throwback that nods to Squale's importance in diving lore. Now, other dial elements include silver color applied indices infilled with Swiss Superluminova in either white or old radium color, depending on your dial choice. A bright white minute track meets the brush rehaut, and there are hits of red punctuating the dial at 3, 6, 9, and 12, giving a sort of crosshair look that's quite distinctive. Brushed pencil style hour and minute hands are also loomed, and the second hand features a loomed rectangle, along with a red tip for added punch, with the loom being more than acceptable for the standard of a dive watch. A small unframed date window resides at 3 with a basic black on white execution that's legible. There are several colorways available within the 1545 lineup, and the 3 that we have here are basic black, a muted slate gray that has subtle hints of blue, and a bright summery blue that has an interesting texture. The look is somewhat reminiscent of Geneva stripes in its pattern, with a vertical curtain orientation and appearance. It's noticeable on the blue version here, and there's a black variant offered in the model that also features a black ceramic insert. Shifting to the caseback, we have a polished screwed in caseback signed with the Squale shark logo and wave pattern, and on the inside is the trusty SW200-1. What can really be said about the Sellita SW200 caliber that hasn't been said already? Sellita has emerged as the dominant movement supplier for Swiss watch brands not under the Swatch Group umbrella, and really beyond just Switzerland, I should say. This is not just a movement you'll find in just Swiss manufacturers. It is one of the leading movements you are going to find for a mechanical watch nowadays in the automatic variety that wants this layout. The SW200 serves as a drop-in replacement for the former standard bearer, the ETA 2824, that has become virtually unavailable to outsiders of the Swatch Group. The specs are nearly identical, with the rate of 28,800 vibrations per hour or 4 Hz, featuring hacking and hand winding, hacking stopping the seconds when you pull the crown to the farthest position, and gets an additional joule totaling 26 compared to the ETA 2824's 25 joules. Speaking of power reserve, it does come with 38 hours, so that is going to be slightly falling short of much of the competition nowadays, but the SW200 makes up for it for some other advantages. It has incredible stability with its solid balance power, its ease of regulation and service, as well as proven reliability that is as tested as any in the market. All right, so now for some closing thoughts on the Squale 1545. So a couple things on the negative end, and then we'll shift into some of the positives and why I think this is a pretty compelling piece. Talking about the bracelet is just okay. I think it's absolutely serviceable. However, it does have a few drawbacks to it compared to some of the competition. The fold-over lock, the sophistication of the clasp is not going to be cutting edge by any means. You do have that flip lock that when open is going to potentially scratch that one side of the link. So you have to really determine, is the bracelet going to be right for you? The price difference is not that extreme, so I don't think that there is as much benefit to buying this one on the bracelet as it would otherwise be for a lot of dive watches out there. So I think it really comes down to personal preference, because the bracelet is just going to be more serviceable rather than exceptional. Power reserve also might be an issue for some, given what we're seeing from other brands, and the looks are also going to maybe be polarizing depending on which style you go for. This is definitely a love it or hate it type of design, the double signing of the dial and just the quirks that come with looking at Squale as a brand. But then you get into some of the pros, and this is a watch and a brand that checks off many of the boxes when you're looking for a dive watch that has the lore, it has the history, and also the price to match it. I mean, we're talking about a watch that's well under $1,000 here for a Swiss constructed automatic dive watch with a brand with heritage. You got that vintage look, you have the feel, you have 300 meters of water resistance, solid specs across the board, reliable Swiss movement on the inside. You do have different dial details to choose from. I think the Geneva stripe dial effect is pretty cool and is definitely different compared to much of the competition. But amongst all of the dive watch names that we think of, and what I'm talking about here are the brands that have this history to lean on that's in this price range. For a little bit more, you do have something like the Doxa Sub 200. There are things like Aquastar that are also out there. These are the type of brands I'm talking about, like those diving oriented type of collectors, maybe Certina as well with some of the developments that they had on the dive watch side. But Squale is one of the most capable and proven brands in this entire arena. Blancpain wouldn't be trusting them to make their cases if this was not the case back in the day. So what you have with the 1545 is the entry door to Squale's mechanical watchmaking from the dive watch realm, and really for the industry overall for a Swiss-made dive watch. It's right there at that entry point. But further beyond that, you're getting it from a brand that has the history to back it up. All right, guys, that's all we have for this video. If you did enjoy it, please give this one a thumbs up, subscribe, hit the bell icon. Really do appreciate that. That does help out the channel. Also, if you are in the market for this watch, it is available on TeddyBaldassarre.com. TeddyBaldassarre.com is an authorized dealer for all the brands that we carry. Every purchase comes with quick and fast fulfillment, dedicated customer support, and a full factory warranty for all the products that we offer. Now we're able to continue to do what we do on this channel, but really on that main channel is through selling watches. So if you are in the market for a watch, we'd absolutely love to have your business. Let's keep doing what we're doing here. We love what we do. Guys, thank you again so much for watching. Be well, and I will see you all very soon.